can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders, the founders of Zapier, AWeber, RxBar, which ended up selling to Kellogg for $600 million. Eugene, check out that interview. P90X founder Tony Horton talks about how he made money as a street mime before he sold hundreds of millions of dollars. Atari founder Nolan Bushnell talked about how, he was Steve Jobs' mentor, and Steve offered Nolan 33% of Apple for $50,000, and why he said no to that, and many more. Founders overcoming big challenges in life and business. This episode is brought to you by Rise25. I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. And our mission is to connect you with your best referral partners or customers. We do it through a couple done-for-you services. One is an event solution for large conferences and software companies. Some of the actual SEMrush staff came to one of our past ones at Retail X. It was good to have them there. We have a done-for-you podcast solution, which, in my opinion, is the best thing I've done for my business and my life. It's helped me connect with best friends, with referral partners, clients, everyone, and a lead generation. But our greater purpose, Eugene, is our mission is really because John realized that both of our grandfathers were an inspiration to myself and him, and my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. He escaped Nazi Germany, and him and his brother were the only people to survive from their family. And John's grandfather at the same time was a B-17 captain and pilot who flew 35 missions over Nazi Germany. So we decided to put together a veteran entrepreneur scholarship. And so if anyone goes to rise25.com/mission, rise25.com/mission, you can apply. If you're a veteran or you know a veteran, send it to them. We do all expense paid from all expense paid trip to one of our VIP events and conferences to just a comp ticket to the conference, whatever we can do. So check that out. I'm excited to introduce today's guest. We have Eugene Levin, and if you're a true Russian, you'd know how to pronounce his name, Evgeny. And he was one of the first investors to spot SEMrush. SEMrush, if you don't know, they started in 2008. It has over 4 million users using a variety of their SEO tools. And after Eugene joined the company as the chief strategy officer, he helped to quadruple the company and the revenue, and raised over $40 million from tier one investors. Eugene started his career as a VC and was partnered at Foresight Ventures and Target Global. Foresight Ventures was ranked among the top 10 Russian VC firms by Forbes, and Eugene was in charge of the U.S. pipeline at Target Global. They invested in a number of notable companies that you've probably heard of: Blue Apron, which IPO'd, Lyft, and Juno, which got acquired. SEMrush also has a free product for Amazon sellers. It's called Sellerly.com. You better grab it now, because I'm not sure how long it'll be free. I know Eugene says it'll always be free, but you know what? Anything that I think, when companies charge, they can actually keep up with it and make it better. So we'll find out why it's free. But go to Sellerly.com, and it basically helps split testing for your Amazon listings, which everyone wants because it's all about conversion. So, Eugene, thanks for joining me.
Jeremy, really great to be here. And really appreciate the introduction. Couldn't say it better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm excited to dig in. I'm fascinated by your background. And there's a couple things that we're going to dig into. And we will talk about Sellerly, but you grew up in Russia. So, right?
Not exactly. I'm actually from Belarus.
Belarus. So you grew up in Belarus. Tell me about what it was like growing up there, and what you wanted to do when you grew up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Listen, that's interesting. It was really tough. I mean, unbelievably. When I tell stories about my childhood, people think that I make them up, but they're actually all true.
Yeah, and, like what?
I'm relatively young, so when Soviet Union collapsed, I was 5. So I was old enough to understand the whole thing, but like not all and old enough to really kind of suffer from it mentally, like,
Right.
But in general, like a lot of poverty, a lot of unemployment, like at one moment, the whole life of millions and millions of really good people changed. And it hit harder people like doctors and teachers, even though they still had their job, like salaries was so low, it was almost impossible to make decent living. So many people, for example, had to grow their food on their kind of country houses. So almost every family in that part of the world had kind of some small house in the countryside and some land. So almost every household was farming. Not like today people do kind of farming to kind of have organic food, really good food. So we had to do those things to just have
survive.
Food. Yeah, I mean, it's like I wouldn't say like we would starve if we didn't have it, but we would not have like fresh vegetables, for example. So it was complicated time, and to the point, yeah, when I was 6 and 7, I learned how to actually grow food, like potatoes and tomatoes, and today it's kind of sounds funny to me. And as I said, I was really young. I didn't understand the whole complexity of the situation. But today, if I was told that my kids have to work on some farm to grow food to not to sell it, not to make money, but just to have access to this type of food, I would be terrified. But that at that point of time, it was fine. So really,
What are some of the stories at that time? Like, what is poverty? For just if you were to paint the picture for people who can't fully, it's hard to comprehend, right? If you're not living it. What were some of the stories you tell your friends that they can't believe are true?
Okay, it really will sound a little bit crazy, and you may think bad about my parents, but they're awesome people, and I really, really love them. And
I don't know them, so I can't think bad about them. So.
But the example is so when you plant potatoes, you first need to plow, like to make ground ready for potatoes.
Right.
So to plow, usually use horses or some other draft animals. And we didn't really have any horses or anything. So we would just pull the plow ourselves. And to pull the plow, you need one strong person to kind of push it down, and then some other people have to kind of pull it. So drag it. Yeah. So the strong people were usually like men, and then who else kind of remains to kind of drag it? So kids were dragging it. So it sounds a little bit,
So you were the horse in this situation.
I was the horse. Yeah. So.
Hey, listen, you do what you have to do.
That's why now.
Yeah.
So that's why now, like when people say like I work hard, no, not really. That time I worked hard. Now it's just relaxing.
Yeah, it gives you. You think it gives you a certain perspective?
Yeah.
Do you think that motivated you? Because when I was doing research about you, Eugene, it seemed like you're always looking for a specific opportunity. Opportunity to make more revenue, essentially. Do you think that's given you like this edge about you because you had to plow the fields and you don't? I don't know. Is there something driving you away from that poverty?
That was a big factor in the path that I took and choices that I've made. Mm-hmm. First of all, from the very early childhood, I understood I never want to kind of have physical work, like job that would require a lot of
It's like PTSD. You'll have like post-traumatic stress, like take you back to where you were.
Yeah, so I wanted to be engineer because it seemed like the easiest kind of way to get there. There are tons of engineers. There are some other office, jobs, but demand seemed to be growing very high for engineering. So I went to actually study IT, and I worked in the college as an engineer. And manager, and then I think the desire kind of to have financial stability, at above all. I think that would have driven my career, because I was in terms of tasks that I was solving, I was happy as an engineer or project manager. But it was very clear that this type of job will not give me financial security fast enough.
Right.
Like maybe when I'm 50 and I worked as an engineer or project manager for a long time, maybe at that point I'll have some financial security. But it's not something, if you work for someone, you're not partner in a business in general, it's very hard to get financial independence. And technically, the first opportunity that I had to be working closer to entrepreneurs, and have some ownership in the business, I was always taking it, even at the cost of like some short-term financial gains. For example, almost at all my jobs, I always negotiated for lower salary and higher ownership. Equity. In the business, higher equity. It was like people was surprised because usually it happens different.
The opposite.
Way. But I would say the opposite. But I would say like, okay, this is good paycheck. How much more equity you would give me if paycheck gets lower?
Yeah. It just says you have confidence in your abilities, right? I mean, you have confidence in the company, but you have confidence in your abilities to, like you did with SEMrush, right? Quadruple revenue, raise money, and make it bigger.
I wouldn't take credit for myself for everything.
Yeah, of course.
SEMrush. First of all, I think I can take credit for spotting SEMrush. That's, I think, people like even 3 months after I joined, I started talking to people about the company that I've joined, and they were shocked, like how they've missed it, how everyone missed it. But it was such a great potential. Company. Yeah, it was unbelievable. When I first started pitching them an idea of me investing money into their business, there was no kind of real VC type of P&L. So they were managing business in a very different way, not the way venture capital investors expect people to manage business. So we sit for a couple of weeks with founders, and we've built first framework. And once I saw this, I was in love. I very quickly realized that's probably one of the best businesses I've ever seen.
Why? What did you see?
Like unbelievable unit economics, like instant customer acquisition cost recovery. So it's like you're spending money to acquire a user, you get this money back in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So unbelievable unit economics.
What did you see typically with like Lyft and Blue Apron? What was typical there?
It really depends, but like I would say for SaaS company,
let's take like Lyft for example.
I can't remember from top of my head. Also, not sure if I'm can legally disclose real number if I can remember this. But even if you look at their public filings now, I think you can get some understanding that their recovery is still above 1 year. So, which is fine if you can pitch story of expansion, story where people use your product more frequently over time, and you have stable retention, which I think Lyft is able to do. They have very healthy cohorts for business of their type.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for SaaS, anything that is below 12 months is considered very, very, very good.
Right.
But we had just instant. So I realized, okay, we can spend much more money. We still will be, below this 12-month recovery, and we still would be considered to be awesome business. So we did, many things like this. So we started investing more in digital marketing. We started investing more in customer success, so provide people more service so they stay longer. We started investing in sales so we could go up market, start talking to bigger brands. Today we work with 7 out of top 10 world's biggest AdWords spenders. And we work with 25% of Fortune 500 companies. Was not really the case, years ago. But yeah, the trick is we were so good in terms of product that even, once we started investing more in sales and marketing, we still were not able to get, to the levels where unit economics doesn't look good, because technically you invest in sales, you start expanding your customers, and that improves your unit economics. So now you're spending more, but your unit economics also improved. Your average check improved, so you can spend more one more time. So we are still kind of in the process of reaching that limit where we cannot spend more revenue or more dollars per customer, per new customer. We still cannot reach that point. It's like every time we invest more, it kind of goes up a little bit, then goes down because efficiency kicks off, and you're starting to see benefit of this. Active.
What else did you see at that time, Eugene? So you saw, and I imagine when you went to them and you did these economics, they didn't have those metrics in place. Did they even know that was going on? That they would make the money back in 2 weeks?
I don't think so.
Yeah. What else did you see?
I think intuitively they understood that this is extremely good business.
Yeah.
But they could not quantify why exactly it's such a good business.
So what else did you see when you ran the numbers that you knew this was an amazing business?
I mean, profitability was also at that point unbelievable, especially if you think about combination of growth and profitability. So very low marketing spend, very high growth. As a result, you have a lot of profitability, which for me meant much more room to invest in R&D. And SEMrush always had awesome product. It's technically a product first company from the very beginning and today as well. But kind of when I saw this profitability, I would say, okay, we need to hire as many engineers as we can, because and we should go into new kind of product categories and diversify our offering. And yet again, we did this in terms of product diversification. 10 years ago, we started as SEM competitive intelligence product and keyword research product, which is relatively small niche. It's very important part of the marketing stack, but it's relatively small niche. And today we cover absolutely all aspects of online visibility, be it search engines, social media. We can show you competitive intelligence for direct traffic, for referral traffic. We can tell who are their affiliates. We have amazing backlink index. We monitor brand mentions. We help you to optimize visibility in directories. So if you're a local business, so we technically cover everything about your company that happens outside of your website. Mm-hmm. So how people learn about you, how they find you, what they see, in search when they Google something relevant for you. We do it all.
And now you do Amazon.
And now we do Amazon because that's just, for me, continuation of this approach. So Amazon is not my website. I have really limited control over what's going on in this. It's to a large level of extent search engines. Very few people in the world know search engines the way we do. And in terms of technology, I believe we have absolutely best technology. And combining this knowledge about search engines and this technology that we've built over the last 11 years and apply it to new kind of sort of search engine, we believe that would make a lot of sense for us as a company from product and technology point of view. But as I said, what's more important, we are solving real problem of people who want to run online business.
Yeah.
And we are thinking that in general we should be agnostic to the way people want to sell their stuff. If they want to sell through social media, we need to be helping them to do it through social media. If it's more like search engine optimization play for Google, we will have products that help them optimize for that. And then if their choice is to sell through platforms, like Amazon, we should help them to do it as well. As I said, for us, the main aspect is online visibility, how people find things that you are selling. If you choose to go through Amazon, we will help you to find or to kind of connect with people who want to buy things through Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as we were talking before, we run, events, VIP events for large sellers, and Sellerly seems like an amazing tool. And I feel like, I don't know, it's sort of like a free version, and we'll talk about why it's free. And if you think it'll ever not be free. I was actually surprised that it's free. And even your pricing on SEMrush is very reasonable for like a business. It starts at like $100 a month and goes on up depending on the features. But it's sort of like a free, I don't know if you're familiar with a visual website optimizer for websites, where you basically can make changes and it basically tells you what the conversion is, and you can switch to that higher converting whatever you split tested. It's sort of subtly, picture, it's like a free version of that for Amazon, your Amazon listings, right?
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's exactly what it does. You can play with technically anything from price to pictures to description. You can try to optimize both for rankings and conversions. So sometimes you would need to include certain keywords to rank for specific, keywords. But sometimes you maybe just want to optimize for conversion rate, which is also fine. In this case, you would change only pictures, for example. So in a nutshell, we thought.
Yeah. Why is it free? You're like raising $40 million. You're quadrupling revenue. Why did you decide on free for this?
So the way we see this is, it's like, and by the way, that really resonates with what you said about our core product being only $100 per month. But that's premium version. We also have free version. Technically, you can try everything we do for free. We have customers who use us for really long periods of time before they ever upgrade to paid version. We're big believers in freemium model in a way that
the power users have to pay
value. Yeah. But first you show value. First you prove that people need to pay, and then when they have this understanding, they will pay. So, and also the kind of trade-off is, okay, so how much stuff you can give for free, knowing that there are real costs of running the business, especially everything that is related to data. There is a lot of infrastructure. So our core product is unbelievably expensive in terms of data assets and server infrastructure, literally over $10 million. I don't want to give specific number, but that's lower end. So those types of businesses.
There's real cost. Yeah, totally.
There is a real cost. So for us, it's always okay. So what's the balance? How much stuff we can give for free before we actually start asking them for money, depending on kind of what costs we we have associated with it. And then for this product, for split testing, we thought costs are actually not that high. And then technically, this is one of those products that just everyone just needs this.
Yeah. What will it escalate into? Because I don't see like a larger tiered version, or is there?
Right. So right now there is no larger tiered version, and maybe one day there will be larger tiered version for someone who wants to run, let's say, very specific types of tests. Maybe they have 20,000 SKUs and they want to run not individual tests on every product, but they want to test kind of product page patterns. So they want to update instantly 20,000 pages. And that might be eventually a premium feature. But for a basic feature, we just felt it does make sense to charge people money for this basic product.
Yeah.
I think the good comparison is Wix. So on Wix, everyone can build website for free, because essentially it's like, ability to have your own website is pretty much like modern day, human rights. You just deserve the right to have your website. And we thought, okay,
that's coming from someone who had to plow fields just to get food. But yeah, it's a different perspective now.
So we thought like this is the same. But yeah, I think if you're much bigger company, eventually we'll start thinking about features that make your life easier, and maybe those features would be premium.
Right. Eugene, I want to talk about, I don't want to gloss over the investment piece. You helped them raise $40 million from investors. Yep. Talk about that process, the difficulty, challenges of it, and then I want to hear what do they do with the money at that point? Because seems like it's. I think early on I was reading that they didn't even want to take your money. Right?
They didn't. Yeah.
So you had to force them to take your money.
Didn't take my money, ever. So I had to go work for founders for the company. So that was the only way for me to get into. Then over time. The first question was exactly, so why do we need money? How we spend them?
Right.
And we spent quite considerable amount of time to kind of plot this R&D roadmap and marketing expansion and geographical expansion. Then we started thinking about having more salespeople. We had some, but not very few. So we started scaling sales. We brought our chief revenue officer, Del Humanik, who before us was running world's biggest Yellow Pages business. So he had an experience of managing billions of dollars in revenue versus what we had at this point, but we wanted to have something with that type of experience. Starting scaling sales teams, sales strategies by default kind of have more friction, so they're less efficient. So that's when you start needing a little bit of money, because you hire people, they don't deliver results from day one. So that's more kind of cost efficient thing. Then another reason to raise money is what kind of risks you're willing to take if you don't have a lot of money on the balance sheet. So it was also helpful in a way that we could do experiments without thinking, if it fails, how we pay salary to our employees, and that spirit of ability to run experiments.
It gives a lot of stability there.
it gives, but people start being afraid of trying things, which is crucial for any business that wants to get to kind of next level. You just have to try a lot of things. You can't be lucky all the time. It's like extremely bright people. They will be right more often than less bright people, but
still not a high percentage.
And ultimately it's just a numbers game. You just try a lot of things, and having kind of this money that's on the balance sheet gave us kind of ability to do more experiments as well. I mean, we also now starting kind of corporate development, so we probably will be acquiring some companies, but that was not really a primary goal.
So are you gonna head that up also? Will you look at, since that's sort of your background?
Yeah, that would be mostly my area of
what kind of companies?
Technically anything that is relevant for our core audience, and our core audience are at this point professional marketers, either that work either in agencies or in-house. So anything that would be relevant for them. As I said, we have really diverse set of tools, and we cover all aspects of online visibility management. So parts where we do not go are things that are very crowded, things that happen on your website. Technically the oldest product categories, like let's say email marketing. So those things have been around kind of too long, too crowded. And products are good. Like, it doesn't make sense to go head to head, versus MailChimp. They have a good product. We prefer to kind of focus on underserved niches.
What do you consider underserved right now?
I mean, a lot of areas. Where would you like to start?
Anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think is underserved now?
So, if you think about what's really missing there, is if you want to go from not doing any market, let's say you're a small business, and you're not doing like any marketing, and you want to go from zero to like doing something, there is almost nothing that can help you today, to get there. Like, as I said, like even SEMrush, we are, there in terms of price, everyone can afford us. But we are still a product for relatively sophisticated audience. We have small business owners, don't get me wrong. We have a lot of them. We have bloggers. But those are kind of self-taught professionals. They're not doing marketing day to day, but their level is quite good, because they've been doing it for themselves for a while. But if you're like nowhere, like I just woke up and decided I want to do something, there are very few things that can take you from not doing anything to starting getting on online business. And that's where I see today a lot of opportunities. One of the big problems there is, you technically need an expert to tell you where to start and what to do. And when you just start business and you don't have a lot of money, you don't have an expert. So that's one of those areas where we focus in now. We have all this data. We have literally the whole map of the internet. We know how websites are connected. We know what ads they're running, what they are posting on social media. We know what people watch, on YouTube. We know, even direct traffic for almost every website in the world. So what we are thinking now is, how do we give insights to people about kind of starting their online business from traffic acquisition point of view? How we analyze this and give people that, because things that work for a pizzeria do not work for let's say someone who want to sell art online. And then if I want to buy something interesting in China and sell it on Amazon or on my own website, that's kind of also completely different case from online marketing point of view. So we are now thinking how we help people get from not doing anything to actually doing business online.
Eugene, so
using all the sorry.
Question, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. I just am curious. I was curious of your thought process on what's underserved, because obviously you guys are always developing tools, improving them, new tools, to see kind of where the puck's going, not where it is. What were the challenges of raising money? And why 40 million as opposed to 5, as opposed to 10, as opposed to 50?
Yeah, so we had much more demand than supply. We didn't want to take any dilution. We were a profitable company, and
is that because of your connections, or because that's not typical? I would think, right?
Demand supply.
I mean, having it just be so much demand, right?
I mean, hard to say. I would say some part was coming through my network. There was a lot of kind of inbound interest. It was just they before I joined, they could not get any traction in those conversations. I think interest was there for a while, because people who used product, and a lot of them are actually in the investment community. I personally learned about SEMrush because I was using it in due diligence process a lot. So that was my go-to tool to check marketing strategies that people are running. And it was very classic. People would go to me and say, "Hey, we have no competitors. We do something extremely unique." And I would go say, "Okay." I would log in into SEMrush.
5 minutes, you're like, you have thousands of competitors.
Yeah, and actually, it's not like they're not just your competitors. They're trying to advertise for exactly same keywords. And if I go there, landing page tells me the same story you are telling me. So it was quite interesting. So I knew the product is awesome. And I think many people knew that product is awesome. But it was kind of hard to get into these conversations like, we want to invest money in your company, because founders would always say, "Yeah, thanks, we have money. We need to figure out, our new product. We need to scale marketing. Thank you. We just really have no time for that. And we don't know where to spend this money." So, I think that was the case there. I think demand in general was there. And I think once I joined the company and we started having more specific conversations, and there was a way for them to move forward, then it kind of at some point,
they couldn't visualize what they would spend the money on, so they're, they didn't want to take it, which is responsible.
They didn't want to. I mean, even after I joined, they didn't want to take money until we had a really good plan how to spend money. But in terms of investment community, I think once we started actually talking to investors, then investors talk with each other also, especially kind of analysts, associates. They actually share pipeline with friendly firms. So at some point, I just saw like exponential growth in interest. We would get 3 emails per day from people asking us to meet. For some reason, all of them was saying that they're in Philly. We had headquarters in Philly back in the day. So they were writing, yeah, we will be in Philly next week. Do you want to meet? And yeah, we just started, at some point, we just started taking those meetings to at least understand what's going on. We've been very kind of picky with the people we wanted to work with. So investors that we work with, I think, kind of best possible investors for this type of business. So Greycroft, amazing firm, founded by legendary investor. They are one of the most active firms in marketing technology space, and they were one of those people with whom we met, and they were telling us things about our business exactly the way we would tell those things, and it was like, okay, we see it the same way. Because usually you meet investors, you have to educate people about what you are doing. You have to explain, the landscape, why you are better than your competitors, and so on. But with Greycroft, actually they said, that they've ran a research and they believe we are the best product and they want to invest, and it was very fast also. And they immediately, even before we closed, they started delivering value, connecting us to people. Was really good process. Yeah. And then eVentures. Do you want to go through the whole?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then eVentures is really global firm. We wanted to be global company to sell across all possible countries. We already had at that point customers in 180 something countries, but we wanted to have kind of more meaningful presence there. And eVentures is one of the most global firms. We wanted to have their experience in in building global presence. And then we also have Greycroft. So with them we had kind of personal connection before they invested. And they're actually not very well-known firm, but Sigler and Goff was first investor in company called EPAM that is now publicly traded company. But EPAM started as a small outsourcing company in Eastern Europe. So they had this experience of investing in Eastern, company with a significant Eastern European presence, and helping them go public in United States. And we wanted to have this type of experience because at that point we still had tons of R&D in Eastern Europe.
So Eugene, we were talking before we hit record, and we were talking about a couple conferences and kind of as far as the e-commerce world goes. And you were saying if you started an e-commerce company, you would find that getting to $1 million, everyone talks about kind of that being the mark that they're aiming for when they're first starting. You'd say, I probably hit that in, let's say, couple months. What would you do right now to start that company, and within a short period of time, get it to a 7-figure mark?
That's a good one. So
Go.
I was,
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, sure. Okay. So, I think first of all, I didn't say that it's necessarily going to be very profitable business.
Right. No, I didn't say profitable. I said
yeah.
Yes.
So
yes. We'll make that disclaimer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not necessarily profitable. Yeah, I think, then I think the big difference is are we talking about kind of multi-channel or Amazon or
whatever way?
Outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do whatever. The world is your oyster. It's a blank slate.
Right. So I would go with what's now called direct-to-consumer brands. Very limited choice of products, but products very specifically crafted to audience. in a perfect case, something reasonably repeatable. And then I would try to get on board some sort of strategic partner that has a lot of exposure for this audience within my network. Technically, probably the way I personally would start. I would go and say, okay, who I know, who would work with me, and then I would go there and say, okay, what kind of audience they have, and then I would go and say, okay, what those people would buy. And by the way, there are I personally have access to a lot of data that would guide me through this decision, and a lot of this also available through SEMrush. So I would use a lot of software to kind of do research. Ultimately, once I have audience, I understand who can bring me to this audience, and I understand kind of supply side of this, how to get those products, which is actually the easiest part these days.
You would go to the need first, the audience size,
yes.
and find the need first, and find the largest need and audience size first, and then look to see what they need, and then go back to the supply side.
And then go back to the supply, and I would be looking for, in a perfect case, repeatable purchases. So something that you can run out of.
Like consumables of some sort.
Consumables, of some sort, I would, I think the first types of audiences I would think about, women who are expecting. That would be my probably first most interesting audience to think about, assuming I have the channel. It's a very interesting audience in a way that many of those women, especially in Europe, when they're expecting, then they have some time to kind of read things, to socialize with same group of people. So it's a kind of very interesting community. It's not, there is not very long LTV, like usually 9 months max.
Right.
But then what's interesting, once this 9-month period is over, there is a bunch of other things you can sell into this audience. So, I would think about that group, of people. And it's relatively niche to the point where it's not going to be crazy competitive. You will be competing with relatively old school businesses, not that much marketing savvy. So that probably would be a very interesting audience for me. In terms of what you can sell to them, I mean, tons of things. But I would just go to the forums and social media groups for pregnant women and just read everything and
find out what the need
just
is.
Try to find resonating topics. I guess another interesting audience that I would think about is some specific group of kind of sport communities, like people who are into combat sports or some other types of sports. There you can think about all types of consumables, right?
It'd be a cool, Eugene, it'd be a cool blog post, like weekly blog post from Eugene. You turn on your screen, you're using SEMrush or one of the tools, and you do what you think is a good opportunity market. Right, you turn your screen on, you use whatever SEMrush. You're like, I would do this week would be, expecting, moms, and then you show some of the research and some of the opportunity. The next week after that may be combat sports, and it would be interesting to see how you, as especially coming from your VC background, seeing opportunities in companies, seeing opportunities in markets and products, or something like that. So that'd be cool.
When I retire, I should definitely do that.
Forget retire. Why? I mean, you'd still be promoting SEMrush as a tool to do those searches, right? So. Anyways, just a thought.
Yeah, but no, we actually thought about this a couple times. We would probably want to kind of do this more as a kind of Not reality show, but like format where people actually build their business.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of me talking about hypothetical research, people actually do research, go buy those.
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually, that would be, I think, more fun.
Yeah.
But also, I think one difference here is, I think if you want to build sustainable business, like, and you don't have like those initial connections, then yeah, you go with product like SEMrush and do research and do a lot of content marketing and build the audience. But I think my reference to this, how to build business in 2 months would be, I would go directly to people who own some audience in a way, or, have high exposure to this audience. And I would pitch
partner with them,
partner with me on whatever, terms. And that probably would allow me to have kind of really good jump start.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Not everyone has this opportunity, I guess.
Well, I mean, you could always reach out for people you know or don't know. You'd find an inborn audience who maybe isn't selling maybe physical goods, maybe it's a digital product, and you'd partner with them and offer the some kind of physical product to that existing audience. That makes sense. Okay, I could see that you doing that in a couple weeks. We'll check back in 3 weeks. So the other thing, Eugene, I want to know is, so right now, if I pinned you down and said you need to acquire a company this week, what kind of company would you acquire for SEMrush?
Interesting. So I think one of the misconceptions about acquisitions is that people have to buy companies. It actually works the opposite. It's like by default, I don't want to buy anything unless I'm like 100% positive that I want to buy this. And it's like there is never pressure to buy anything. Like, if you read Warren Buffett's books, technically he explains that when you invest, his way, that might be one of the laziest job ever. You just sit, and sometimes you just don't feel like you want to invest in anything. You just don't invest, and it's like not how your performance is measured, not by number of transactions, but the quality of transaction that you do. So there is never a pressure. But thinking about what kind of verticals I'm interested in today, and why what I think is interesting in general in the market. I think today there is tons of things that help you build high quality content if you want this. There are tons of things that help you to spread this content to your social media audience. If you don't have audience, you can advertise plenty of products that solve this problem as well. We also have products that do this. I think that the missing part is how to distribute content organically. So it's really hard, even if you have high quality content, because traditional methods like I'll post something and people will pick it up, that doesn't really work, especially if it's anything non 100% mainstream or viral video with kittens. So if it's anything even remotely B2B, you don't have organic exposure, no matter how interesting the topic is. So you actually need to talk to people and ask them to spread this, and especially when it comes to bloggers and media. So there are some things that solve parts of the puzzles. For example, there are places that can do outreach, let's say, effectively, in a way that they can automate emails. They can work with templates to make those emails customizable and personalized. There are things that can do this. There are databases of contacts to relevant people you want to reach out. But I don't think there are people who found this kind of holy grail. So yeah, I would, if I had to buy something right now, I would look in those areas and think, how do I make actually something for that problem that works, that actually gets job done. Like if I have awesome content, it's relatively easy for me to get it distributed to the relevant audience organically, not by buying clicks and everything. There is nothing wrong with buying clicks. We actually, when we have a really good piece of content, we will pay money to do advertising. Nothing wrong with it. But you need first organic push to get initial audience to at least understand if it's a good content.
Yeah, totally. Gene, first of all, thank you. This has been great in hearing your insights. I have one last two questions I ask, but everyone should check out SEMrush.com, Sellerly.com, SELLERLY.com. It's actually free. I don't know why they offer for free. Maybe they should start charging. Maybe they will start charging at some point, but it seems like they always have a freemium to what they do because they want to add value first. So check out their two sites. And Eugene, I always ask, since it's Inspired Insider, what has been one of the lowest moments for you and how you push through? And then on the flip side, what's been a proud moment in your journey so far? What's been a low moment you had to push through?
Yeah. So when you say low, you mean like it was just emotionally kind of devastating in a way? Yeah. Okay, that's easy.
Because we always talk about, they have 4 million users, $40 million. It wasn't always like that for people, right? They came from something that was hard,
Yeah, I think low probably like psychologically my lowest moment was when I was in college. I had to work because like my parents could not support me through this, so I had to work, and because I had to work, I didn't always have enough time to study, and then when I had exams, I really didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So I had to kind of do this overnight, so almost no sleep, and one of the most important exams, I still failed it. It was actually a very tough exam, and I was probably not really good at this area of science. But yeah, I just failed exam, and the whole situation was like, if I fail exam one more time, they would kick me out of college, and also out of dorm apartment. And I could not afford any other housing in that city, so I would have to kind of go back. And I didn't sleep already for a long time, and then I couldn't have sleep till the next exam because I needed to prepare, and like a lot of things at that point of my life was at stake. So that was probably psychologically like one of those moments where like I had like really bad thoughts about what I'm going to do if I fail with this exam. It sounds, yet again, like now when I look at this, that doesn't even seem to be a problem. Like that's just someone a weenie teenager thinking about his problems. Nothing really serious there. But yeah, back in the day, it felt like really life-changing thing. Failing some exam. I think the highest moment was when we kind of sold first portfolio company. That was, I think, exceptional experience. Was really complicated deal. I was really involved with that company, and when we finally did it, I didn't even have any emotions left, but it felt really, really good. From that point, I knew like, okay, if we sold this company, we are probably really good at selling companies, and I can do this kind of
because it was so
for a long time.
complicated.
Yeah, because exactly, because there was no no consensus between investors and founders on what we want to do. So it was complicated. Eventually, like now we are all friends. At that point, it was tough. So I was thinking, okay, if we came through all this and we sold the company, we're really good at it. So that actually can be my profession, because, I was at that point associate in a first-time VC firm. So it's kind of either you can do this or not. Even you sometimes can have doubts. Like, okay, maybe I'm just trying to do something I cannot do. Like I'm not, made for this. And once we did this deal, I knew, like, yeah, that's can be my profession till the end of my life. I'm actually good at it. But yeah, yet again, in this case, we work with great people. I mean, we as I said, still great relationship with founders. They're awesome guys. And the partner, my partner at the firm, we still closest friends. So
you still believed, though, in the SEMrush so much that you almost changed careers in a sense, right?
Oh yeah, sure. And I mean, like knowing the whole thing now, the only regret I haven't done this early, because I knew Oleg for a while before we actually had this conversation and I joined the firm, SEMrush. But I knew guys for I think at least 2 years more, like before that. So I need to check specific date, but I knew them, and my only regret, I haven't done this earlier. And yeah, it's more like I probably regret more kind of not recognizing as in this and staying more in VC versus going earlier in to work in SEMrush. It was like such an opportunity that happens sometimes once in a lifetime. And as I said, as an investor, I've seen many businesses. I had a chance to be kind of part of the big stories, but there are very few companies like this. And what's even more important, there are very few companies where you really like to work with people that much. It's sometimes it's a great business, but it's just business. You come to work, do your job, go home. There are no relationships, and I think SEMrush for me, pretty much like family, and yet again, I think my only regret, I didn't join earlier. Guys was definitely into something. It was writing. The writing was all over the wall, and I just decided to stay in VC longer. And we did great things with Target. Was tremendous experience. People I've met and worked with, also have very good relations with them. But yeah, I mean, that was, SEMrush was very different opportunity.
Yeah.
And,
Eugene, thank you. Thank you. Everyone check out SEMrush.com, Sellerly.com. I'm going to be the first one. Eugene, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll hang out in Chicago.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good one.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.